Do you ever hear those family members, friends, or maybe even yourself sometimes say, man, I just need a vacation? It's almost like you can hear the dread louder than the words themselves. I definitely grew up in a family where every summer, for the most part, we would go to this place called the Frio River and just kind of have like a week away where we would literally just kick back, relax, and stay in this big house and just float the river, right? So you can imagine that on this vacation, you get to decompress and not think about the dread of life. And even since a young age, I always thought that that was a little strange that we grow up, then all we do is look forward to the vacation. Something really sad about that for me personally. Probably is why I never went the 9 to 5 route straight out of college. I just did my freelance thing and worked for myself. And while that wasn't necessarily the most fulfilling thing to do at the time, is definitely moments of struggle, a lot of moments of struggle. I still feel like I made the right decision because things are in my control. I'm not necessarily waiting for somebody else to give me permission to go on a vacation. I don't know if on my deathbed I would think to myself, wow, I'm so thankful for all those vacations. While I will be thankful for those things, I think I would much rather be thinking about something else, like doing meaningful work, like constantly surrounding myself with people who light me up, helping people, things like that, I think is what makes a life worth living. So I wanted to make this video to just share some of my thoughts, and bear with me because I am a little clogged up, but this is the upside of the last week or so, because after the last video I made, goodness gracious, I remember like I filmed the video, edited it in the same day, and then published it the next day. Before I filmed it, I was fine. And then when I was editing it, I just kept sneezing and sneezing, and by the next morning, your boy was clogged up. That clacking noise is my nose. It sounded pretty much like Squidward. Ain't gonna lie. First of all, I want to give some context. We all have our struggles. Yes, I do have moments where I look forward to the weekend and I look forward to having like a day where I'm just not doing anything. But step by step, one thing that I'm doing is moving towards a place where I'm excited for a Monday. I'm looking forward to the next week of work. I'm looking forward to the next video that I get to create. If you could imagine a life that you didn't need an escape from, what would that look like? What would that feel like? How would you spend your time? What is that? What is that for you? It's almost like pick your poison, right? Like anything in life is going to be challenging. The feeling of not being what you feel like you could be is going to feel painful. On the flip side, going after that version of yourself that you feel like would light you up, would be fulfilling, would create the lifestyle that you would fall in love with, is also going to be challenging. So which challenge do you want to go after? Which one is going to create external environments that is going to fulfill you? And also internally, what is going to make you feel proud of yourself? Now, there's this concept, I believe they call it like a Japanese phenomenon, which is called Ikigai. There's like this Venn diagram. I'll just show it up on the screen. And basically the goal of this is to figure out what you're good at, what you love, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. We can figure out what is our passion, our mission, our vocation, our profession. But the ultimate goal is to find that centerpiece, your Ikigai, the thing that's going to make it all make sense. And if you're interested in diving more into this concept, there is a book called Ikigai that will really help you. I highly recommend it. It's a fun read. But I believe that the reason why I heard so many family members and friends or just people in my life say things like, oh, I just can't wait for a vacation, is because the work that they're doing probably isn't meaningful to them. So I think it's really about doing meaningful work and doing it in environments that are exciting to you, both internally and externally. Man, I'm realizing more as I talk that like I still am pretty clogged up. I thought I was like coming out on the better side, but nah. Now, after you figure out like what it is that, what kind of life you want to live, it's really important to not overwhelm yourself, to not create this huge master plan to where if you don't do one of the things by a specific deadline, like you're fucking doomed and your life sucks. It's important to realize that confidence comes from holding our promises to ourselves. But don't forget to live your life now. Yes, we want to create that life for ourselves, but we should also remember to like appreciate what we have now. What relationships do you already have that you're maybe taking for granted? What do you already do in your work that actually excites you and you just didn't even pay attention to it? Imagine if you had to do a whole different career. What would you miss about your current career? If you're someone who, is just getting started and, you're probably getting a lot of advice from creators all over the internet. That was definitely me a couple years ago, and that kept me stuck. I feel like I would get clarity from someone and then I would hear something else and I'd be like, fuck, I don't know which one to do. If there's anything that I would love for you to do in this moment is to trust your gut, to trust your own path. What I say and what other creators will say works for us. And we're just sharing doses of what has worked for us. So keep that in mind. Your life is different. There were so many creators and coaches that I was working with that would tell me one thing. And, in retrospect, I realized that, I'm different. Like I have a different perception on life and I want to do things differently. So have faith that you will figure it out. Have faith that you're always on the right path. And the best way to maintain that faith is to stay away from things that distract you. Stay away from self-sabotaging things. Stay away from bad habits. But don't just stay away from it. Like replace it with good actions. Replace it with a good book. Whatever's going to motivate you along the way and keep you focused and persistent. If you still feel like, oh shit, dude, I don't even know what my path is, don't just follow fluffy creators who are just not really helping you. There are creators out there who are genuinely trying to help you get from step 1 to step 2. And it's also important to realize if I was to go out and seek advice from Elon Musk, only so much would benefit me. Whereas if somebody who is just a year older than me is out there creating advice or, making content, trying to help people like me, that's way more impactful because they're right there. I've always been a huge advocate in coaching. Just simply having someone to talk to about your life and what you're going through and where you want to go is so helpful. And if that's someone, if you don't have the finances to invest in that, then find friends who are on the same path as you, who you can, hold each other accountable. You can vent to, you can talk about goals with, you can motivate each other. You can, just help lift each other up. Rising tides lift all boats, right? Now I know that there's one person out there watching this video who is like, dude, I don't really have any friends. I don't know anybody who is even interested in creating a life that they don't need an escape from. Like, I think they're totally fine with just their 9 to 5. Teach their own. There are those people out there. So if you do feel like you're in that place, then I have a couple suggestions. Podcasts, things like this, you're basically spending time with me right now. It's not much different than if you were hanging out with me in my apartment, just vibing out. So if you're the product of the 5 people you spend the most time with and you have no friends in your life, then just surround yourself with people online. It's the same thing. The brain doesn't know the difference. But if you are interested in seeking face-to-face interactions, then look up networking events in your area. I lived so much of my life in my mid-20s just stuck in my bubble, just looking in the mirror like, boo-hoo, my life fucking sucks. And it wasn't until I stepped out of that and just like accepted that, okay, I'm at a low moment, but I'm gonna go out and seek new friendships, relationships, opportunities. Literally things can change like that. There is going to be a moment where you feel like ain't shit working, man. It still happens for all of us, man. Like life is not perfect. So we're still gonna have struggles. We're gonna have things that we didn't expect, health concerns, family stuff, relationships, business things we didn't expect. One of the most important lessons that I learned in my 20s is don't numb the pain. Don't distract yourself from the pain. The most useful thing you can do is to face it, to embrace it, to look at it in the face and let those feelings, let them be. The reason for this is that when you do allow that pain to sit, 1, you allow yourself to process it. 2, you notice a very important lesson in life, which is we cannot appreciate the light without the dark. It's the contrast. We can't just cling to this thought of every day being sunny, blue, beautiful weather outside. I mean, how often have you been through winter and been like, man, I cannot wait till summer? And then as soon as summer comes around in Texas, you're like, God damn, 100-degree plus for 2 weeks straight? Like, what the fuck? Feel free to set aside time to process these things. You may not be able to sit with that pain in the middle of work because you got shit to do, right? But set aside time. Tell yourself, I'm gonna sit with that tonight. I'm going to allow that feeling to sit. I'm not going to distract myself with Netflix. I'm going to sit with it because it's not going to last forever. Pain is temporary, and we all know that. But I think we distract ourselves from the pain because we're like, I don't want to fucking touch that stove like that. Ugh. When our psychological pain comes about, it's all about just letting it sit. Because what happens is when you really process it and you wrap your head around it and you say, okay, got you. What do you do after that? You find all the inspiration in the world to take action. You create a plan. You start moving the needle forward. And you look back on those moments of pain. You're like, wow, man, like I learned so much about myself. I learned so much about life. I learned so much about relationships, etc. That if you just distracted yourself from it, dude, you're just like floating around. Like you're not making any progress in your life because you're just distracted and numbing the pain. And what good is that doing? Either way, you're gonna feel pain. Like if you constantly distract yourself with pain, that pain is gonna be way more unbearable than just sitting with the pain now, over time. The most insightful things come from those moments of processing and sitting with pain. Just because you're feeling the pain now doesn't mean you're gonna feel it tomorrow. There's so many beautiful things about life and also some shitty things about life. And if we just accept both of them, we're gonna live a very good life. We can always remind ourselves that when we're having a bad day, a good day is going to come. Like it can't get worse than this, right? I mean, theoretically it could, but the chances of it getting worse aren't likely as long as we have that right mindset. And likewise, when we have those good days, remember that there will be a bad day to come. And when that bad day comes, we don't dwell on it. We just embrace it. We say, look, all right, this is, we're not having a good day. I feel like if you hone in on all these things that I talked about in this video, you will surely create a life where you don't need an escape from it. I appreciate you sitting through this, all this. Have a great week and take care of yourself. You deserve that. See you in the next one. Bye.